Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Football University, FFU, coming at you in the regular season. I am so excited. I am so excited. We are so excited to be with you. I am Mr. Budakusas. I'm here with Mr. Timeline, coming at you at the very start of the 2025 regular season for the NFL. Mr. Lang, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. We got our last fantasy football draft tonight as well too, so we're excited to get this going.
We're so excited, and I thank everybody very much for joining us. We're so excited to be with you. Um, so much hype for this regular season, so much hype for everything. We're so excited about everything. There's so many things going on. We got a great show for you guys today. So normally speaking, during the regular season, today would be our a waiver show. We're going to be doing something a little bit similar. We're going to be doing like our undrafted gems today. Kind of be mentioning some other little options depending on what guys you may have gone, what guys you may not have gone, and maybe some last minute draft adjustments for anybody that is going to be drafting today or tomorrow ahead of the regular season.
Yeah,
So
and just so everybody knows, we are pre-recording this. It is early Tuesday morning. So, just so everybody knows before, the video gets dropped later on today.
So anyway, before we jump into undrafted gems, etc., we got a lot of news to get to. We got a bunch of stuff that happened the last couple of days. So, Tommy, are you worried or not worried for Omarion Hampton with the Najee Harris situation?
Honestly, I'm not as worried because I think that he's had a lot of practice, obviously, with the team. Najee Harris hasn't really had too much practice. He maybe in the OTAs before the 4th of July happened. 4th of July happened. Haha. So I don't know.
Oh
I
my
think
God, there goes half of the half of the listeners.
everybody's gonna start unsubscribing
Oh
or
my
whatever.
God.
But I don't think it's too much. I think Najee Harris definitely will see some goal line carries. He's a big, big buddy back. You really don't need to know too much of a system or anything like that to jump in as a running back at times because if they're gonna run a zone or an outside, anything like that, it's pretty much gonna be the same movement for the offensive lineman. So. But yet again, I just think that he needs to develop a little bit more chemistry with the system. Obviously he's been, watching from the sideline, listening from the sideline. Um, and I just think that he also needs to get back up to game speed because we all know that Najee Harris does wear down a lot through the season. Last year was his pretty much his first year that he looked really good throughout the entire season, but then started wearing down later in the season. So it's just a normal thing, right? So I think that a young back, as a rookie coming in, an aspiring great back, they did take him overall really early in the draft. I think that he's going to be the vital focal point of the offense. And it could be a 1A, 1B in the beginning, but throughout the season, Hampton's just going to run away with it.
I think, by the way, we should be very clear. We should have mentioned it right at the beginning. So the reason this is brought up is it was brought, he was been cleared for practice. He can be on the field in week one. Something that me and Tommy have been agreeing on basically the whole offseason, not just for Najee Harris, but for every player that if they're not practicing, then we have nothing but trepidation about them for week one. He hasn't been practicing the entire offseason. So, everything that Tommy said, I agree with. I think that, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that it's going to be a grinder game. I think in order for the Chargers to win this game, they have to have a really, really good ground game. And then that makes the what you call it, the Chiefs to have to match it. But I think that if they're going ground on ground, I think the Chargers win it all day long.
Sure, but I mean, just in the, just I don't think this should not take away that much from Hampton. And
No.
already the way that people have been drafting slash thinking about Hampton for the whole year, I wouldn't shy away from it. I mean, just it is what it is. I mean, you play him and then like you're
You
gonna learn,
drafted you drafted Hampton early to
right?
So you're not like really second guessing it. You're playing him. So
Right. Yeah, I agree. So a couple of the news and notes. Quentin Johnson cleared from injury. He could play in week one. I think uh, there's no way there's no way I'm even going that route. I mean, at this point, he's the third wide receiver
third, maybe fourth wide receiver.
uh,
It is, it
on a
is
team that
an
doesn't
opportunity.
want to pass that much.
For some reason, like the Chargers love him still, even though he can't catch the ball.
Because
So
they drafted him. I
he's a
don't know.
great decoy. He's a great decoy on the field.
Jalen Warren with the 2 year extension. So Jalen Warren, who we should talk about Caleb Johnson real quick. Caleb Johnson, I have
Yeah.
been the most vocal about poo-pooing the Caleb Johnson train, bec partially, almost entirely because Jalen Warren is so talented. He's so good. He's been so good on a per touch basis. Anytime he gets the ball on a per game basis, they just gave him a 2 year extension. I mean, really, the Steelers are telling you what they think about it. Caleb Johnson will be involved, but not to the degree that people were drafting him as this season. So, um, I think if you got Jalen Warren, like uh, presumably where you got him and like certain levels of upside, you probably going to be playing him. I mean, we'll get into that when we get into like previewing for the week. But yeah, I mean, it just makes me feel better about him and less good about Caleb
Yeah.
Johnson. So,
And I feel really good about Jalen Warren as well too. I mean, it shows that the team is really highly invested in him and sees the talent as well too. I mean, he was an undrafted free agent when basically coming out of college, and basically he got that extra 2 year extension. I mean, that goes to show, in all reality, uh, how they feel about Najee Harris. Letting him go and then paying, an extension on Warren. That shows a lot of value there for a team that doesn't want to pay running backs. So.
I mean, we thought he was the better running back last year anyway, Jalen
Yeah,
Warren.
I mean he's a great pass catcher. He's going to run up the gut. He's a little bit smaller, but doesn't size doesn't really matter when it comes down to running backs.
Quinshon Judkins, I don't know what to make of this. He joining the team this week. I mean, I mean, look, from put it this way, for most people,
It's talent that's needed.
for most people, you probably drafted him really late in the league with the full knowledge of he's not going to be as relevant for the first part of the season, and so you're taking the risk on how many games, how far into the season is it before A, he starts becoming relevant, and B, he basically takes over that job, the job that they drafted him for. It's basically why we kept saying Jerome Ford, he's going to be the guy until that happens.
Yeah,
Um,
but there's got to be a 1A, 1B
uh,
there.
I'm
That's
I don't know really honestly, Tommy, what to make of it. I just say we'll see, we'll wait and see for more information, like if he's practicing, when that's happening, how the ramp up situation goes.
We'll
But
say this. We'll say this. If he starts, if he not starts, but if he plays this weekend, I put in for an anytime touchdown for him.
I would not, and he
I
ain't
would
gonna.
totally
And
do it.
I don't know if he's gonna play this weekend.
I
Um,
said if he plays this weekend, I would put in for any time
I
touchdown.
you with the crazy bets that uh
Hey,
let's
it's
talk.
going against is the going. There's going to be a lot of touchdowns scored that game.
All right, so Devon Achane, he is going to be playing week one. So, um, here's what I'll say about it. If you're the Devon Achane, we'll talk about it today when we talk about like undrafted gems a little bit. If you're the Devon Achane owner, if you don't have Ollie Gordon, man, you are playing with fire. So he's
Yeah,
gonna. I mean, it should have had that little concern in the beginning of the season, and like, yeah, like okay, now that he's going to be playing week one, presumably, if somebody drafted Ollie Gordon, his price has gone down. Now's the time to go get it. Really, like,
yeah. I'm a little outside of football. I'm a little worried for Devon Achane. I don't know if you saw what happened. He was sitting there and he went live stream on
uh,
Instagram and just sat there for like 15 seconds,
maybe he
just
didn't
like
real,
staring at the wall.
maybe he didn't realize it was on. I mean,
I don't know,
I've
man.
done that before.
Hopefully everything's all right over there.
Uh, last little bit of information. So the San Francisco wide receiver saga. So Juwan Jennings is back at practice. I think great. I think this means he plays in week one. I would not touch it at all. I mean, he
Yeah.
hasn't been practiced the entire training camp. The odds of re-injuring, the odds of injuring a hamstring, re-injuring quote unquote his calf, which has been injured by his contract situation. Um, No way. I would have to see it, give him a game, give him a game or two, let him get into it. But you and I have both said it, like based on him not playing, the contract situation, etc. I mean, we've turned into
Yeah,
the Pearsall train from this.
yeah.
So
For sure, and I will say this, and like as we've seen it through the years, like there's a couple positions that you can just not play and then just or get waived by another team and come in and play for another team. Like quarterback can come out somehow a quarterback could come out and start running plays like Baker Mayfield when he went to LA. Same thing with like running backs. Running backs get traded, they just plug right in because of schemes, systems, and all that stuff, and knowing where offensive linemen are going to be. When it comes down to like wide receivers, same scheme, same system when it comes down to San Francisco, but it's just the chemistry with the quarterback. He's got a lot of talent around him. Now he's got MVS over there too, so MVS is an opportunity to basically plug in who knows down the road in San Fran. But don't do that. Please don't do that. I think Juwan Jennings is going to take some time if he does play this week. It's going to take some time for him to get a little bit more acclimated. I think that he'll probably be like more of a 50% snap share, and have to work his way in kind of thing. But I would steer clear. I'd be a little nervous about starting him this week if he
I
does
don't.
play.
I mean, so they're playing Seattle, and like I mean, we're gonna cover that a bit more when we get to the preview.
It is a
And
division
to,
rival. I
and
mean,
tomorrow.
they always play each other strong. So
I was noticing, like, I was doing some pre-prep for our preview show for tomorrow, and I was re-looking at the lines. So the line, uh, long story short, the implied points total for Seattle has gone down, meaning they're thinking like San Francisco. I mean, judging by the line, it is in Seattle, but that they're going to be performing better. It could be more of a kind of divisional defensive struggle. Maybe we'll see. We still believe in Pearsall, but I couldn't agree with Tommy more. I would want to see exactly how that looks and see how Jennings looks.
yeah.
Doesn't so yeah. I would stay away from that. I
You get a
had
value with him because of like the pushback. If
right.
you waited on your drafts, you got some sort of a value on him.
What's the Tommy quote? He injured his contract.
Yeah.
That's our favorite quote about him. I had one or two other bits of notifications come across my feed. What about you?
I may have. You want to bring it up?
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention just a couple of these drama situations that have turned into more amorphous questions or whatever. Let's just real quick for my lovely New York Jets. I don't, the Jets are one of these organizations similar to the 49ers where I don't know if I trust anything that players say, coaches say. I don't. So one of the reasons that Breece Hall has been being pushed down the draft boards this whole offseason is because of this whole quote unquote committee narrative that you've been hearing out of everybody. Aaron Glenn has not been helping the situation for that. Now, when I say helping the situation, maybe they genuinely feel like they need to make it a committee. I don't think that has much to do with the fact that he's going into a contract year, Breece Hall. I think it just has to do with, hey, look, we just see these guys and they're great and we want to make them into a committee. I just want to mention that we've had so many different offseason episodes where we've lamented about getting annoyed at coach speak, getting annoyed at player speak, at how we, interpret it, how we do it. Here's what I'll say. I think Breece Hall's draft cost got reflected into these narratives and it was already discounted. I don't think we need to discount it any more than it already has been based on those conversations. Um, Braylon Allen's draft course went up. People were starting to take him in the 11th round, etc. Um, the point I'm trying to make is before you start imbuing all these things into it's going to be a three-headed backfield or Braylon Allen's going to be the lead back or any of these narratives that you could spit out of your mouth. Wait and see. You already got Breece Hall in the basically the fifth round ish, right? I don't know. Maybe some people got him even later than that. It's
Well,
already
some
be
people had to pay for him higher.
right. Now, I'm going to say this too. and we'll get into this when we talk about in our next episode, but the Jets are playing the Steelers. It's going to be an ugly game. I'm going to be at the game. The score of that game is going to be like 11-8. It's going to be an ugly, ugly game. Maybe the Jets have an maybe you have an opportunity to grab players on the Jets or even the Steelers at a discount after week one. Um, so I bring all this up to say, I mean, I had an endless amount of notifications about the whole Brees Hall committee situation, and I'm basically like so tone deaf to it at this point. Like, how do
Well,
you feel about it? Like,
I feel like, maybe the coaching system that's coming over there, coming over to the Jets, learned something on the lines. It doesn't mean like they have a Gibbs and Montgomery, but it shows that like if you have fresh legs, you can make things happen. So I don't really think that they're going to have a primary running back. I don't think it's going to be a three-headed monster. I do think it's pretty much going to be, maybe a two and a half headed monster, right? So, um,
I don't know.
I think
I,
Braylon Allen has shown his talents. He does have fumble ability. So that is one thing, but he has good stature, he's very strong, and he runs through people as well too. So, with that though, with his running through people comes a risk of fumbling the ball because he does have, sometimes, you know, squeaky hands. So
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say
let's just say this. I think that the first game you're really not going to see too much of a change. But I do think through the season they're going to want to see what these younger running backs have, and especially with the new regime, and they also have to give Brees Hall the chance as well too. But having said that, I just don't know if they're going to be willing to pay Brees Hall the running back price that
right,
he's looking for.
right, but that's after the season.
But still,
Clearly he's
that you
playing this
need
season. They're
you
going into a contract year. He's
I
going
get
to
it. I get it. But in all reality, if he's already anticipating, there's already contract talks that they're hearing and that it's being built up. Why are they going to invest their time with somebody that they're not going to pay? They might just like say, "Hey, we're going to trade you mid-season potentially."
maybe, but again, first of all, from a fantasy owner perspective, it's very you can't operate like we've been through this before. You can't operate like that.
No,
You can
you
keep it in. You
can't.
can keep
But
it
you
in the
have
back of
to
your mind.
you have to keep it real. You have to keep it real. If there's chatter like this going, coming out, like there's some scary topics that are potentially happening with the draft value of that player.
I think sort of the point that I'm making is it was already all the trepidation of what you're talking about. It was already built into the price. We don't need to additionally you know, mention all this stuff to be like, you need to be cautious. You're already cautious. If none of this existed, if he was just going to be the guy, you would have been drafting him in the first or second round as the guy who's been finished, Brees Hall, etc. So you already got him at that
Yeah.
discount. Great. So we don't need to additionally, push him down the line. This is me saying in a very, very light way, maybe the conversation about the committee talk is a little bit too overblown. Like it's not about to be a 50-50. I can tell you that. Um, so wait and see. And then obviously week one's probably going to be a bad week in general for both teams. But any other major news before we get into undrafted gems, sir?
No, go Giants.
Yeah, and we'll probably talk a little bit about maybe one or two of these players today. So let's get into undrafted gems. So normally we'd be having like a waiver week. So just to catch everybody up for the year, normally we'd be talking about drop candidates or probably owned versus all this other stuff, but we don't really have that per se. This is week one, so we'll just talk, undrafted gems. Um, we'll do it same way we always will go in order. So let's just talk running backs. We got a bunch of names here. So I just want to start real quick. Let's just talk about the Cleveland situation. For some reason, Jerome Ford is this is the only name on here that's not widely owned. But I just want to bring it up because he's like about 60-50% owned, depending on the league, Sleeper, ESPN, etc. Dylan Sampson himself is widely available basically in both leagues. So I bring this up to be they're pretty much going to be a 50-50 split on a team. in which Flacco's going to be playing quarterback, so their offense is not going to be completely awful. And they're both going to be splitting completely until apparently Judkin comes in and takes over everything. The situation there is they have a tough schedule the next couple weeks. However, week one, they have a great they're at home playing Cincinnati. So maybe less so Dylan Sampson, I guess, if you're a bit worried about that. But Jerome Ford, all systems go for week one, Tommy, or
Yeah, 100%. He's definitely heavily owned, which is, definitely needed to be, because he is pretty much the starting running back for the Cleveland Browns. And
yeah,
and there's going to be a lot of pass catching, especially for PPR. He is a plug-in flex play this week.
I gotcha. I honestly, I just wanted to bring it up because, like, so you're going to be finding some kind of value there in a quote unquote disgusting situation even after week one. So I just wanted
Mhm.
to hammer that point. Damian Pierce, so extremely available against both 6% in ESPN, 16% in sleeper. So listen, say what you want about Nick Chubb. He's not the same player that he was. He has not been looking good in preseason. In the practices, the beat reporters, the situation has not been good. A lot of people have been imbuing a lot to Woody Marks. I think that people are just forgetting that Damian Pierce is there. Damian Pierce still is talented. Is he going to take the whole thing over in 2 seconds? Probably not. But again, if you want to look for starting running backs, I feel like Damian Pierce has a very good opportunity to take over for Chubb. Um, I know that Tommy's been calling out Chubb as a thing, but even Tommy can't deny that it's like, first of all, the chances of re-injury in general is high. He's an older back. Like it's just it hasn't been a good drum beat this offseason for Nick Chubb.
No, it hasn't been a decent drum beat, but again, you can't really just poo-poo on a starting running back. There's only 32 of them. And some teams they have a dual back situation. So let's just say there's 36 potential starting running backs in a league, and obviously you have to value some higher than others. But we do believe that Houston is supposed to be a decent team this year, right? So why not take a or stash somebody like that, when it comes down to Chubb and also Damian Pierce. You have to stash these people because you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the one thing is saying about Mixon that he may be back week 7, or
Don't believe it.
sorry, week 5.
Don't believe
Um,
it.
but you never know. I mean, I think honestly with Mixon it's going to be situational based on how the season's going to go. And if he, let's just say it's week 7, 8, maybe 9, depending on whatever it is. And that's fine. I'm fine with that, especially with the value you got him. You're going to have great value with Dameon Pierce. We already know what he could do. He showed it. He flashed in his rookie year. Then he just kind of like they took back, took back a couple steps on him. Um, he did show some inconsistencies. So they obviously they went out and got Mixon and then they got Chubb based on the injuries that have been occurring. So I think that Pierce is a good opportunity to stash, and he could be somebody that can flash for you guys when and if needed.
Well, yeah, but I mean, follow it closely. Put it this way. I mean, if they come out week one, first of all, Houston, I mean, they're at the Rams, then they're Tampa Bay, then Jacksonville. So some decent matchups ish for Houston. I mean, think of it like this though. Tommy's right, like in terms of stashing. It'd be really easy to get Pierce now, but if it turns out week one, like, hey, Chubb's not looking good, and then Pierce flashes a little bit, good luck trying to get him after week one waivers. So you guys could judge it as it is if it's worth it for him on your team. But if you're looking for a quote unquote starting running back, he's has a very good chance to be that guy, at least in lieu of the Joe Mixon situation. So let's talk about the Washington situation. So, and we'll identify Chris Rodriguez. He's completely widely available, 2% on ESPN, 13% on Sleeper. So, look, I've talked about it already. The drumbeat for JCM during the preseason, all of a sudden after one preseason game, one preseason half, and then all of a sudden JCM is now the greatest thing ever and is going to be the lead back in Washington. Everybody went crazy with that. And so, I mean, we started getting JCM drafted in the fifth, sixth, seventh rounds. you guys are forgetting, not you, not our listeners, because they've been listening to us, but the fantasy community has been forgetting about Austin Eckler, who we thought we identified as a really as a really good gem later on in the draft, but we've been forgetting about Chris Rodriguez. So, Tommy, I know you're a big proponent of him. Why don't you pontificate here?
Yeah, I mean, Rodriguez being 5'11", 224, he is definitely the perfect fit for taking over Brian Robinson role. Goal line kind of guy, short yards kind of guy. He also does receive the ball as well too. He's a decent pass catcher. Obviously there's a number of different running backs back there, and also Edwards, the undrafted free agent from Michigan, basically is there as well too. He was signed to the practice squad. So there is an opportunity for a couple different people to actually be, in the mix. But I will tell you something right now. Rodriguez being a young guy, having showing flash last year through the preseason, I do think that he is a great has a great opportunity to take over. And it's going to be some time, but I think he's a really, really nice stash play for your fantasy roster, especially if you want to, try to get an opportunity on a good offense.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I saw some talent. First of all, in the same preseason game that everybody lost their minds over JCM, Chris Rodriguez also had a great game. And Chris Rodriguez already showed it in an NFL game. I forget, it was like one or two games last year in the absence of Brian Robinson. Chris Rodriguez was the guy. It was also one of those weeks that it was like McNichols or whatever was like, oh, hey, he could be a good pickup
And
for
Jeremy
one,
McNeils, yeah.
yeah, for one game. It'll be interesting to see the Washington situation now with Brian Robinson departed. Um, please don't forget about Chris Rodriguez. Obviously, Austin Eckler is going to be great, but it's like so not going to be a 100% Ja'Cory Krosky merit situation.
No.
It so isn't. All right, so I also wanted to at this point highlight. So it's week one, so not time to overreact to anything, but I wanted to mention like for guys that you would want a high value quote unquote handcuff, especially quote unquote handcuffs with like perhaps some standalone value. Um, you be the judge if you want to do that now and have it for the whole season. I personally do that but only with high value handcuffs. What are high value handcuffs? The guys that you know is going to be the guy, that it's not going to be an RBBC if the starter goes down, on top of the fact that they're talented and they're going to be good. So case in point, just some guys that we saw that fall into that category. So Kendre Miller, widely available, ESPN 6%, Sleeper 7%. And Sean Tucker from Tampa Bay. As it's not Sean Tucker is super talented and he's super available. 1% ESPN, 4% Sleeper. Tommy, I know you're a big proponent of both of these guys.
Yeah, so Kendra Miller, obviously we know Kamara. We know he is going to be the primary pass catcher, the primary running back. I mean that takes a lot of wear and tear. So Kendra Miller has been injured the past couple of years. He's been in and out of the roster. I
In and out of the
think yeah,
doghouse too.
yeah, and into the doghouse. But I think that he has a great opportunity to, take on a share role in this offense. And so I understand that he is a good value handcuff, but I do think that he potentially could take on at least 30 to 40% of the snap share as the season goes on. Because I do think that Kamara is going to show some wear and tear. He is getting older, but he's ultra talented, obviously, as we know. The guy can catch 11 balls in a game as a running back, which is phenomenal for PPR. But I do think that Kendra Miller is going to start seeing a little bit more of a snap share. He has been, progressing in the system. They are going to be a really bad team this year. So that means that offense is probably going to be on the field a lot. And that means a lot of opportunity for Kamara to get points, heavy, heavy points, but it also gives Kamara a lot of opportunity to get beat up a little bit as well too. So I do think that, there's going to have to be a split at some points. Not full split, but I think Kendra Miller is going to be a really nice stash early on and take on a really good responsibility down the road.
I
Same thing with
agree.
Sean Tucker. We're not super high on Bucky Irving. I do think, honestly, based on, and we saw it last year, his goal line opportunities have really his volume went up in goal line opportunities. It just came out of nowhere as well too. But in the preseason, he showed great flash. Sean Tucker is a power back kind of guy. He also catches the ball. He's kind of that system that they need. I also think that White is not going to really fit this system as much as he was drafted to be in the system anymore. I think he's going to find his way out of the Buccaneers, and I think that Sean Tucker will find his way to the RB2 position. Yet again, I don't think that Bucky Irving is talented, but I do not think that he is the end all be all in that offense.
I, I I'm inclined to agree. Well, we were both lower on him than consensus. It'll be interesting to see how this year goes. At least the first part of the season, the Bucks have a bunch of injuries at wide receiver, so they might be a little bit different earlier in the year as they are later in
Yeah.
the year. It'll be interesting to see how they do that.
I
Um,
do I do think, if Sean Tucker is out there, he could not he's not going to be a league winner, but he could be a really nice opportunity on a pretty good offense.
if Again, it's week one, but I mean, Sean, to me, if I'm the Bucky owner guy, I feel like Sean Tucker is pretty automatic if I
Yeah.
have him on that team. Um, yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna be going through this as we go through every single week, but we're gonna go above and beyond to maybe not mention every single handcuff running back across the way, but just to name a couple of them off the top of our heads. Trey Benson, Arizona.
Yep.
Uh, Braylon Allen for every reason we just talked about the New York Jets. Ray Davis for Buffalo, etc. So
And I guarantee you, I mean, yeah, these guys, those guys are like heavily owned, and when it comes down to percentage. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. If you look at your waiver wire right now, and you start seeing like Ray Davis out there,
yep,
pick him up, put him on your roster because we all talk about every single year. The running back position is it's not as deep as wide receiver. You're gonna be able to find wide
right,
receivers. You're not
right.
gonna be able to find running
Don't
back.
say that. Apparently, that's controversial now. Like what our
Super controversial,
a
right?
viral thing. More shots at wide receiver. They hold their value better, but apparently that's controversial. I don't know
Yeah.
how, but okay.
The math doesn't show it.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. The scarcity of it makes those guys even more valuable.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
now we should point out, well, we won't waste time with it now, but we should point out we're talking about high value handcuffs. We're not talking about guys that are going to be in our BBC situation. We're not talking about guys that, aren't going to be good if the starter goes down. So like, like, for example, like the Washington situation right now is amorphous, for example, basically with the Eckler and everything else. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about like, James Cook and Ray Davis, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
all right.
we're talking about under 50% own.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to wide receivers here. So,
Some 5% owned.
yeah. So let's go on to wide receivers. I want to split this with Tommy here. So I want to talk about just real quick a couple of names that are about the 40-ish, somewhere between 30 and 50, all between 30 and 50%, depending on your league. So may not be available, but definitely could be immediate contributors. Um, Hollywood Brown. So in the absence of Rashee Rice, somebody else is going to contribute other than Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce. I've already been on record saying is that I'm done with Hollywood Brown, but I'm not gonna have too big of an ego to not put him out there as a recommendation. Adam Thielen, go ahead, say it.
Legacy.
Legacy Thielen. So he got traded there back to Minnesota. He's one of these guys that I feel like could have a good week one and then never show up for the rest of the season. But they will need him in lieu of the Hawkinson or sorry, in lieu of the Addison situation. Cedric Tillman, okay. Week one, they are at home against Cincinnati. Flacco is going to lay it out. He's another one of these guys that could have 30 points a week one and then do nothing the rest of the season. And Xavier Leggett. So first of all, he's an awesome guy. But with Jalen Coker just going on IR, he is clear, clear, clear. And with the trade of Adam Thielen, he's the clear, clear, clear wide receiver two for Carolina. Bryce Young has been looking good this offseason. He looked good at the end of last year. I feel like Xavier Lee gets an automatic option, and I know that he's one of our favorite players. He sounds like the guy from The Waterboy, the coach.
Yeah, he
Um,
eats raccoon.
and he eats raccoons. So Tommy, some of these other names that we've identified here, I don't. It, now the last one I do, but why don't you try to convince me on the other two?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about stash plays, potential opportunities basically to
Yes.
outbreak throughout the season. And, this one guy has been boomer busty through the past couple of years, but I think with Russell Wilson coming in here, Darius Slayton, they extended him this year. They invested more money into basically him to be the second side of the field when it comes down to neighbors. Um, Darius Slayton basically has, like I said, got a contract extension. His role will increase or stay the same as it was, but I think it's a better situation with the quarterback play. When it comes down to Russell Wilson, he loves to throw that ball down the field. He obviously has been boomer busty. When it comes down to his status through the years he's been with the Giants. But I do think that it's going to obviously add more single coverage opportunities for Slayton. Not saying that Slayton is the end all be all on the opposite side. We're not talking about Chase and Higgins. We're talking about lower, lower, lower. We're talking about a cheap version of Chase and Higgins. But let's just put it this way. I mean, this guy is not afraid to get up, catch the ball over the middle, go up and get the ball. I mean, he basically is on 80% of snaps, which is value when that team probably is going to be on the field significantly when it comes down to the offense. He was targeted with poor quarterback play 70 plus times per year. And again, that's not a lot. But I do think that he could find himself close to the 80, 90 target range this year. And he does catch his balls. He does catch at least 75 to 80% of his balls. Um, he could be a really nice flex play when it comes down to those big bye weeks and whatnot. And if you don't really have a deep bench, this could be a really good opportunity to basically plug him in, and he produces. So I think that it's a great opportunity for Darius Slayton to be targeted for people.
I don't. I listen. I hear you. We can disagree. The third wide receiver for the New York Giants. I would say unless it's an extremely deep league, with like maybe 14 teams and your bench spots are like
I gotta be
70
honest.
something.
I just don't think the Giants are going to be as bad as people are thinking. I just and that could be like the hope in me for Big Blue, but I just don't see it.
But
On paper.
even if they're not, how many teams can you think of as their wide receiver three being a decent flex option? Very few. And why should the Giants be any different? So like it's not like it's the Bengals or something.
Well,
So
I guess let's piggyback into the next conversation, right?
yeah, try to convince
So,
me on this next
yeah,
name.
I'm
Go
gonna try
for
to
it.
convince you on this one. Dimey Brown. Dimey Brown, he was signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So was, and then obviously Travis Hunter was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, 1A, 1B with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas. Right. But Diami Brown has shown that he's ultra talented. He has a really good he's a great route runner. Um, on basically Brown on Washington, he was in at least 70% plus snap percentage. Now let's just put it this way: we don't know what Travis Hunter if he's going to be 100% on both sides of the ball. If he's on both sides of the ball, he's going to get he's going to get tired faster in the NFL because the NFL is light years faster than college. I think that Dimey Brown potentially if Travis Hunter does play both sides of the ball, is going to find a lot of opportunities to be on the field,
Oh, I agree with that. Uh,
which there is not going to be a hyper targeted situation for Brian Thomas.
it's been a weird narrative for you with the Jacksonville wide receivers
Yeah,
this offseason.
I'm trying to put my finger on it, trying to put my finger on that thing, but it's weird. We're gonna watch it week one. I don't think also week one is gonna show the true value because they are going against the Panthers. I don't think it's gonna show a true value of what that offense is going to do through the season. I think they need to have a divisional rival to actually show that they're going to what they're going to do offensively. Um, but I think Diami Brown is going to be a great, great stash to be on your bench, and to potentially give you some splash plays some weeks.
All right. By the way, just for the record, you know,
He is
I'll
2% owned.
I was gonna say that. So the guys that I named at the beginning, Tillman, Leggett, I mean, like I said, that was somewhere between 30 to 40, maybe 40 something percent across all the leagues. The last two guys we mentioned, Slayton and Brown, or that Tommy mentioned, you could get them everywhere. So if you believe in what Tommy's saying, they're gonna be available for you.
That's
But the
fine.
Yeah.
And you could talk smug about it as well too, but we're talking about late round shots.
Yes, and yeah, it's undrafted gems, etc. So,
Mhm.
but the last guy we 100% agree with. So Dante Thornton, who is widely available, 6% on ESPN, 32 on Sleeper.
Yeah.
So I just want to say I want to let Tommy like because Tommy's high on him too. I just want to say this about it. Um, we don't know what's happening with Jacoby Myers. We don't. So just for the sake of at least for the early part of the season, let's just assume Jacoby Myers is not getting traded because otherwise now we're speculating. Even if he's not getting traded, the opportunity for Thornton to take over as the clear number two is there for the Raiders. So if you want to get out ahead of that, now's the time to do that before it starts happening. But as super talented as he is, if he starts flashing, then it's going to be more difficult to get him off the waiver wire. So, yeah, Tommy, you agree with that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. You know, I'm trying to remember who this wide receiver was back in the day. Remember the guy that basically got suspended, and it was about like maybe 10 years ago on the Raiders. Tall guy. I'm trying to search for this, and I will find this information, but that's who he reminds me of, Deontay Thornton. 6'5".
He's never been suspended, Dante Thornton.
No,
Let's
no,
just
no,
clear
no.
that. Yeah.
No, but Deontay Thorne, 6'5". He runs a 4.340.
Yeah.
Um, fast as lightning. At 6'5", that's great. That could be really, really huge when it comes down to, the deep plays, having to go up and get that ball down the field. And we all know that, sometimes Geno Smith likes to toss that ball down the field like it's his, like it's too much of his job just to throw 40, 50
No,
yard passes.
don't you dare
Um,
imbue your hatred to Geno Smith in this
but
conversation.
I do think that, he can. I mean, he's that kind of player that could get you 16 plus points on one play, which is obviously boomer busty. But I do think he's a stash play for people to plug into their lineup. I think he's a great, great opportunity to, see some great points down the road when it comes down to the season. We got a long season ahead of us. Long but fast season. Before you know it, it's week 17 and the season's over. So let's really focus on who we find as values, plug them into our lineup, and not lineup, onto our bench. And when the time comes, let's get them in our lineup.
A lot of these stash options, you guys got to understand that you got to get out ahead of stuff. So everything that we're saying is great, and like we're saying, his upside is there even without any potential news. But if Jacoby Myers were to be traded, or to be, or if he's out in some way or released or whatever, then his value immediately jumps up. And it's nice to get a guy before that happens. So you guys got to call your shot and do that. And by the way, before we move on to tight ends, just wanted to say, don't hear what we're not saying with a lot of these guys. We're not saying pick this guy up to drop somebody that might also be a good shot or somebody to be saved on your bench. We're just identifying it to like, I would take a lot of these guys over apparently some of the other guys that people be drafting.
I
So
found him. I found him. Martavius
who's the guy?
Bryant. Martavius Bryant.
I thought he was on the Steelers.
He was, but he got traded to the
Yeah,
the the Oakland Raiders back in the day.
the Oakland Raiders. All right.
Oakland Raiders.
All right, so let's go to tight ends. So some good names we want to give you guys here. First of all, the tight end position anyway. If you didn't get any of the top three guys, basically you could punt the position and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
be okay no matter who you would have gotten. Maybe you call your shot. So let's call out some names that are available. So Hunter Henry, who's available basically in about 60% of he's owned in about 40% of the leagues across. We know what he is, tried and true. He's going to get some targets. may or may not get a touchdown. He's always available. He's not a bad option. If you want some upside, Brenton Strange from Jacksonville, he's 17% on ESPN, 29% in Sleeper. Now, I wanted to highlight, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the next little segment here, but Jacksonville's got some really good matchups early in the season. So there's some opportunity there. But Brenton Strange, in his opportunity last year in Evan Ingram's absence, was very good. So Brenton Strange is definitely a good option. Mason Taylor, who's Tommy and I have been identifying as a late
Yeah.
round darling. I just want to say, like, you're not worried about the week one matchup with Pittsburgh, really?
No, I mean they're gonna have to throw the ball. They're gonna have to move the ball. So I think it's gonna be and also especially if you have a scrambling quarterback that can throw the ball on the fly, I think that there is an opportunity for him to flash. Um, I wanted to bring this up. We do have, like I said earlier, we do have our draft tonight, and I know Billy is in this draft with me, and so will other people that will listen to this. But I will say, if I poo-poo on the tight end position, and I just wait for somebody. These two players that we're about to talk about, Mason Taylor and obviously the next guy. These are two guys that I would potentially say, unless value falls, higher value falls, these are two guys that I might just be like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna plug them in. I think that these
Sure.
guys are gonna get great targets, and they are so undervalued.
We bring it up because here's the deal. You have the top three guys. You have Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and George Kittle.
Yeah.
The tight end four is what? It's probably like TJ Hawkinson or something. The difference between TJ Hawkinson and like the tight end 18 is marginal compared to the difference between those other three tight ends. So
The,
that's why it's like you're not going to be imbuing all that draft cost. You don't need to use all of that draft cost on, oh my God, I need a fifth round Laporta or a sixth round
yeah.
Laporta.
You
You
got
don't
a you
need
got a
that.
rookie tight end at Tyler Warren basically being drafted in the seventh, eighth, ninth round potentially, maybe a little bit earlier, right? I think Tyler Warren and also Mason Taylor are kind of in the same situation.
Sure.
And
Tyler Warren, I think, is a little bit better, but yes,
yeah, I think he's a little bit better, but I think that Mason Taylor can match his point system, his
very
points
close.
into the year based on the volume that he's going to get. I mean, Mason Taylor is basically going to be the second target in that system. And let's talk about Mr. Fields over there who targets his tight end, right?
Right.
Mr. Fields when he was over in Chicago,
Oh, Cole Kmet. That's
yeah,
right.
Cole Kmet, 2021, he had 93 targets. 2022, he had 69. So did drop a little bit, but there was more value that was on that outside. And that was the year he had a
That was
sophomore
the
slump.
DJ Moore year, but yeah,
Yeah. And then 2023, he had 90 targets, right? And we're talking about Cole Kmet. So so Fields does target his tight ends.
sure.
And when there's not as much talent in that wide receiver room, he's gonna see a lot of targets. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if Taylor gets anywhere from 80. I'm gonna be on the floor side, 80 targets, so close to 100 targets this year.
Right.
Right? The floor is 80. Um, but I mean, he can overproduce more, and then also scoring touchdowns. He scored, I think it was 13 touchdowns in 2 seasons. With I don't believe he scored a touchdown in his first year in 2021 with the 93 targets, but in 2022 and 2023. He scored close to 13 touchdowns. Um, that's value right there. And that's going to be very, very high value for a tight end. I'll pay big money, or I'll wait for Mason Taylor to really fall to me and plug him into my lineup.
But yeah, and again, just to reiterate the point, one of our favorite stats from this offseason is the amount of tight ends that had a top 12 finish last year was 56, I believe. It was like
Yeah.
it was in the 50s. So again, if you're not locking it down with a couple of names, you could piece it together. And case in point, this last guy coming off the waiver wire, Tommy mentioned him, Chiga Okonkwo. He was one of our darlings from the end of last
Yeah.
year. And Tommy's a big proponent of Tennessee. Tommy likes Cam Ward. So I mean, like I mean, we're not gonna obviously he's among these names that are these like, hey, you could plug him in and it'll be fine, but it's not like he's a must play or whatever. But I'm sure you'd play
No.
him over a lot of other names that we could throw out there.
Yeah. And to a rookie quarterback,
He's going to be
what
valuable, right?
what is his best friend? His best friend is pretty much his little check down guy, which is a running back or a tight end, and usually it comes back to a tight end. Percentages show that tight ends are the highest value to a check down when it comes down to a rookie quarterback. So I will wait on a player like him. Now, he may not be kind of like your week one starter opportunity, because they are playing Denver. But again, if
Yeah, I
you're
was
in
going
a
to mention that bad week one.
but if you're in a tough spot and you're like, hey, listen, like, I kind of punted the position and I have I'm just going to be streaming tight ends. Chigaquanko could be a great opportunity to basically plug and play over certain other matchups that are out there. Out there, they're going to have to throw the ball. He's going to see his targets. He is a very, very talented tight end as well too. I could potentially see him getting close to 100 targets this year, which would put him in a really, really. And this is crazy to say, but I could see him finishing in a high, around the top 12, based on
Sure.
his numbers.
Yeah, and
So,
he's super talented.
yeah.
He's going to be very, very very necessary for the team.
I
Um,
mean, Cam Ward did come out saying that he has the best wide receiver room or pass catching room in the league. So,
yeah.
go
Well,
out there and prove it week one.
all right. Well, that'll man, he's hyping up his teammates when we all know he's lying. So we were actually, I really like Cam Ward. He's a really good guy. He's going to be in a bad situation this year, but he is a good guy. Um, all right. So let's jump into some quarterbacks and some defenses. So normally we have some fun with this section during the year. We'll be a little bit different this week for week one. So we'll kind of get through this pretty quick. So I want to point out names that specifically have week one potential, and I know that Tommy's got some sleeper picks maybe for the year. So let's just I'll call them out real quick. We've been talking about Jacksonville. Jacksonville has an amazing opening schedule. Amazing, amazing. Oh, they're home against Carolina week two, at Cincinnati, and then they're at home against Houston. Trevor Lawrence, who's only owned at about 30 to 40%, depending on which league you're in. Definitely you could do way worse than that. Now, again, how much do you want to put into Liam Cohen? How much do you want to put into that Duval nonsense? Like, you guys can make that the determination, but the opportunity is there. Great matchups. And as Tommy pointed out, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, Dimey Brown, Brenton Strange, like there's some weapons there to go around. And then
Yeah.
yeah. And
I
then,
mean, in
oh, go
all
ahead.
reality, I think, we may make jokes about the Duval thing, whatever, but I think that's a little overplayed, and I think that Liam Cohen is
Eh,
too. I think he's going to make that team flash this year.
maybe. All right, and then I got two names depending on the type of league you're in. If it's a 4 point passing touchdown league, I've got Daniel Jones horrifically identified here. So he's available basically in every league. But he's at home against Miami. Week one, it could be very, very good. And obviously he's got the rushing upside. You could do way worse than him if you have to play a quarterback that like for example, okay, in a 4 point passing touchdown league, Tommy and I had identified Justin Fields as being great for the season, but he's got an awful week one. So week one, I could think of guys that I would rather play than Justin Fields. Daniel Jones would be one of them. I can't even believe I'm saying that. And in 6 point passing touchdown leagues, especially Joe Flacco, they're at home against Cincinnati. It's gonna be a 40, 50 point game. The over under already it's already been bet up. I think it's close to 50 points if it's not already. So you could do way worse than that for week one if you absolutely need it. There's a bunch of guys, by the way, Tommy, that we had identified as being really good for the season, but having just a bad week one. And so, for example, one of your sleeper picks here, he's one of them. So why don't you take that? Yeah.
Yeah. So Cam Ward, I think that he's going to I think he's going to have a really good rookie year. Um, he's got some talent on the outside. And obviously we just talked about Jake Okonkwo as well too. But obviously having Ridley, and I think when Spears comes back, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for that offense to flourish a little bit more. He is going to have a little bit of a slow start, I believe. But he will have a really good end of year opportunity to make himself fantasy relevant. Especially with that defense. They have the third worst defense on paper right now in the league. Things change over time as well too. Being on paper doesn't mean that you're the best or whatever, how it's scripted that way. The what proves it is the field, going out there and doing it. So I do think that Cam Ward is going to have a great year towards the middle to end of the year, which could also translate to great fantasy numbers. And it could be a great opportunity for you to have him as a stash play, or if you're punted the quarterback position. Hey, it could be a good opportunity for basically to be a streaming option down the road and potentially sit as your plug and start.
Maybe not week one, but
No,
yes.
definitely not week one.
Oh, well, to some more anti-week one. Why don't you talk about the next guy here?
Yeah. So the next guy, Mr. Aaron, 41-year-old Rodgers. Here's my thing with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm definitely going to get a lot of heat on this one, but it's fine. We've seen it. We've seen it very, very consistently towards the end of the year. He came off 2 years ago. He almost 2 years ago, September 11th, 2023, right? Yeah, 2023. He runs out on that field, third play in or fourth play in, yeah, third play in, he tears his Achilles, right? The guy went through so much mental strain, physical strain at 39 years old and recovered, and it did take him close to 18 months to recover. He showed great flash towards the end of the year. We were at the Jacksonville game last year, and he had a great, great game.
I just
Before that,
I don't mean to interrupt you. I just have to say that what my favorite line from Johnny is everybody looks good against Jacksonville.
yeah, but you know what though?
No, that's
He
fair.
looked good against other teams as well too.
Yes.
The biggest
You're
thing
right.
is
Yeah.
that the guy still he's still mobile. Um, maybe not as mobile as he was when he was 36, 37. But the guy still can move. And the guy can read the plays. He can read the defense and what's happening. He makes good plays, good clean plays. I also think that he's in a better situation this year. He was in a dysfunctional Jets organization last year.
Very. Yes.
Yes. So I think that he's more of an organized system this year. With the Steelers, they've been needing a quarterback. And I think that this takes a step up for that offense. Based on what they got. They did lose some key component parts here and there, but they did gain some key component parts as well too on that defense, on that offense. So I think Aaron Rodgers, if he is mentally in check with everything, and we don't go outside the box with his whatever he does outside, I think he is a great, great opportunity to be a plug and play when needed. If not, I mean, I'm
Not week
not
one.
to say the same
Right.
thing I'm saying about Cam Ward because I don't want to say that, but he is a fantastic streaming opportunity week in, week out, depending on the situation. Um, for that offense. And he is in a very tough division when it comes down to good defenses. But let me tell you something right now. When he's playing the Cincinnati Bengals twice,
Yeah.
guard him.
Yeah, well, we're probably going to be bringing him up a lot during the season, because
Yeah.
he's always going to be like widely available, and then that will be
There will be
time to
some
pick him up first thing in.
situations. There will be some situations. I would say start him over Fields or Jared Goff. 100%.
Sure, but not this week.
No, not this week.
No, the score of the Jets and the Jets and the Steelers has actually been bet down. So we'll talk about that when we get into waivers tomorrow. All right, so let's talk defenses. So there's depending on the league you're in, probably some of the best defenses definitely went off the board. Steelers, Broncos, etc. Philadelphia. So let's talk about defenses that are going to be really, really good for you week one, especially, and maybe some notices just for the year. So top on our list here is the Cardinals. So The Cardinals are available basically in 50% of leagues. So maybe they are already drafted and you guys are saying why you even bringing them up, but just wanted to mention, obviously they're at the Saints week one. Then after that, you could go ahead and drop them. Commanders, who Tommy actually disagrees with this because for some reason he thinks the Giants are going to do well, but the Commanders are at home against the New York Giants week one. I think the Commanders are a great pick for week one. And then the Jets, like we said, the Jets are only they're owned 24% in ESPN, 9% in Sleeper. The Jets are at home against the Steelers week one. The over under that game is tiny at like 20 implied points for the Steelers, like what less than that for the Jets. Like it's the Jets are going to be great. And Tommy, think that I think I've come to agree with what you're going to say about the actually well let me let you set it up. Go ahead. Next
Yeah,
team.
so the New England Patriots are my outside of the Cardinals. If you weren't able to hit the Cardinals, the New England Patriots are the start of the week for me.
Okay.
Outside of the Cardinals. My reason why is because Las Vegas, I don't think their Las Vegas is going to come out and be great week one. I think it's going to take some time for them to show some really good flash. They have a really bad offensive line when it comes down to the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, I it's going to be a good game for Bowers. I don't think it's going to be a great game for Genty. Everybody's going to start freaking out about Genty's overall pick. I think Genty is a late, in season, maybe like by week 3, 4, you're going to start seeing some really good flash from him. But I think the Patriots defense, especially with with Variable, right? Pronounce it,
Vrabel. Like now
Vrabel.
it's a meme at this point.
Yeah, it's a meme. I'm a meme. With the Patriots defense coming in, I think the defense for the Patriots is so good and they got better over the offseason. I think they're going to just light it up. I just think Vegas is just not going to have a good day. Um
I agree with you. So it's funny that the over under there. So the line has been bet down to 43.5, and New England is favored at home minus 2.5. That only leaves 20.5 implied points for Vegas. So we identify basically that's our usual wall for being like this is a great defensive play. It's 20 points or less, and they're right at 20 points. So I couldn't agree with you more. I mean it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes, but
and they are 24% owned, so they are out there.
they are 100% available. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I don't think that's a better play than the Commanders. Um, why
I
don't
do.
you but before we close the show out, why don't you sell me on how that's like the Giants offensive prowess. Now, if it's now again, this is Wilson now. It's not Jameis, So you're saying the fantasy community is wrong to be poo-pooing on the Giants offense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they went out in the offseason. They signed key components to their roster. They went out and they got Cam Scattaboo, um,
Okay.
late in the draft, who I think is going to have a great value in this game as well too. He should be an anytime touchdown as well too. I really think that the Giants offense is going to show great flash week one. And after week one, the Giants I don't think the Giants win this game. But I do think that there's going to show a lot of great hype for that team. Week 2 comes around, we're going to get crushed. But I think week 1 they're going to come out. It's going to be, very competitive. The defense obviously is going to be a big part of it as well too. But I think the game is going to be very competitive. I think the Giants offense is going to put up some points. And I personally, if it was me making 100% decision, I will not start the Commanders defense this week.
Okay.
Would not.
When we talk tomorrow, when we talk the week preview, lots of betting options for you then for the Jets because Vegas strongly disagrees against you.
That's fine.
So by the
Vegas
way,
doesn't always win. Vegas usually wins, but Vegas doesn't always win.
so I just want to reiterate as we close this out, just to everybody listening. So we just named a lot of names for you guys at basically every single position. Two things. Don't hear what we're not saying. We're not saying just drop somebody great to pick up these guys. Not what we're saying. And we're also not saying don't not start somebody and then start one of these guys that you should otherwise be starting. We're just pointing out undrafted gems, great options that you could have in an emergency, or maybe, like maybe you drafted Coker and then he's on IR or something. Just like different things, just throwing out some options for you. It's week one. Don't overreact. Presumably most of the guys you drafted you're going to be playing with and sticking with, but just thought we'd offer you guys some options. Next week we've got, or sorry, tomorrow we got the big preview show for week one. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for week one. This is going to be so great. And then like we said, we're on our regular schedule now. So we thank you guys for being with us. Closing thoughts, Mr. Lang?
Yeah, like Billy said, tomorrow, but again, depending on when it's dropped, it could be dropped Thursday morning, depending on what time we schedule that specific video. But yeah, we appreciate everybody that takes time to takes the time to watch our videos. This is season two, episode one. So if you please like, subscribe, share, we would truly appreciate it. And yeah, have a great day, everybody, and ask us any questions that you need when it comes down to start sit. We will help you guide you win that week.
We'll help you guys out. Thank you guys.